You are a special guest for us because we have never done a video recording before. So this is
the inaugural.
Well, we've done one. We just didn't do anything with it a long time ago.
It wasn't good.
And so, yeah, this is exciting. We're excited you're here.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here. I feel like I need to move my setup a little bit so you can't tell that I'm sitting on my bed right now.
Oh, that's fine. We're in an attic.
Yeah. It's cold. Look at.
Yeah.
We like to keep things real.
This is our spot. We always record here, and it would be weird to change it. It's the Sound Temple where we do all our recordings and stuff. So.
Yeah.
All right, let's roll. All right, welcome to another episode of the Bowga Hunting Podcast, a very special episode this week because for the first time, people can see what it looks like when we record a podcast. We're recording our faces in our sound temple, and we have Allie on the line. Allie, thanks for taking the time to talk today.
Thank you guys for having me. I'm really excited to chat tonight.
Yeah, I'm really excited about it too. We've been interviewing a lot of Pennsylvania hunters in a row.
Mm-hmm.
And so I found out you're also a Pennsylvania hunter. So I don't know. There must be like a lot of them.
Apparently.
Or something.
So we've heard.
Yeah. So, Allie, why don't you introduce yourself, tell everybody who you are, what you do, and, you can even talk about living in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, I'm Allie D'Andrea. I was born and raised in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, actually. Went to the University of Pittsburgh for college, and my plan was always to go into the medical field. I loved learning about anatomy, physiology, and I had this realization that I wanted to pursue a career that I really loved, probably a lot like you guys, to do something that you're around people, like-minded people. And so I found my way into the outdoor industry and in the hunting industry most specifically. And so now I'm a content creator, social media personality, if you will, and it's been a wonderful experience being able to do something that I love for work. But I am a Pennsylvania gal, born and raised in Pittsburgh, and there's a lot of hunting heritage in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, I'm sorry about the are you a Steelers fan? I'm sorry about that.
Well, I'm I'm a when it's good.
Yeah.
Kind of.
You're a fair weather fan?
Fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get probably destroyed for admitting that, but I'm not that much of a sports person. I don't know, but
that's fine.
I know that the loss, what was that, 2 nights ago, was a rough one.
It was, although. I'm a Bears fan. It was rough for us too. So the Lions didn't even make the playoffs. So
did you see me saying anything?
Yeah, you didn't.
I didn't say anything.
Little grin. Oh, that's cool. So you have not been a hunter your entire life though. This is like late.
No.
What do they call it? Is it adult? You were an adult. Were you an adult when you started?
Technically I was over 18, so I was indeed an adult. Yeah, I started hunting in late high school years, early college years, and when I first started, it was really to hang out with Nick. So Nick's now my husband, but we've been dating since high school, and he didn't grow up hunting either. He was actually always into sports and had an injury, couldn't play sports anymore, so he started hunting, and I was like, what is this hunting thing that you're doing? You never used to do this before, and can I come with you? Can I come hang out? I've always been very outdoorsy. I used to ride horses and fish and camp with my family. Never anything super serious, but was always, in love with the outdoors. And so I started going hunting with him. And the first couple times we never saw anything.
Yeah, sounds about right. Yep.
Yeah, I'm sure I was wearing, too much perfume or whatever, giggling too loud. Or not patient enough.
Jared does the same things. He giggles and he always has perfume on.
That hairspray, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's the hairspray is really. You would think he wouldn't use a lot, but this dude uses way more.
Way too much.
You use way more hair product than I do. I use a little beeswax, warm it up, and I sculpt.
You're unbelievable.
You have like a quarter of the hair I do, and you are combing it, caressing it.
It just kind of morphed and moved down to my face.
Yeah. So
now
I was gonna say you've got a great beard going.
you should have seen
Probably,
it.
you need some product for that.
You should have seen it about a month ago. It was
I am
way
jealous of your. I do. I think about your beard a lot.
Thanks, Dad.
Out of jealousy, I just want to be, like you.
better. Hey, a lot of people do.
So, anyways, you didn't see a lot of deer when you first started out. You got better.
So it took a year or two, and then finally we were on a hunt together. And I watched him shoot a white-tailed doe, and I watched her die. I could see her die from the stand. And then I cried, and it was this like whole eye-opening moment, which I think every hunter has when they first experience that kind of thing. And then I watched him gut the deer, and I saw it start to go from this beautiful living, breathing animal to what we had been eating. And that's also an interesting aside to the story. Eating venison is a very weird thing in itself if you don't grow up doing that kind of thing.
I can believe it.
Around that type of culture.
Yeah.
So when I first started eating venison, I would eat it and I knew that it tasted good, but I couldn't get over the fact that I was eating a deer
Yeah.
that somebody had cut up themselves. It just sounded disgusting, until I saw the whole process, and then it opened my eyes. And it was in that moment that I was like, I'm going to be a hunter. I want to do this for myself. I want to experience all of this. So I started hunting that very next season with a crossbow, bought a compound bow the year after that, and have been doing it. And now I hunt with everything, but also with a bow.
Awesome. Okay, a couple questions came up when you were answering that question. First, so we are both married, kids, but when we were courting, there was not one time where Laura, or I'm guessing Lori said, at least Laura didn't say to me, hey, you're going hunting, hey, can I come too? Why? What was it about Nick? Was he that special of a guy that...
What are we missing out
on? What did
I
not do right to make hunting more attractive for my mate?
Is Nick there? We can maybe get him on too.
Yeah, he can weigh in.
He's not here right now, but I probably could snag him. He'll be home soon.
Because clearly, I
love that.
We
He's
didn't.
got like a mullet going right now.
Awesome. But what was it about it that made it interesting or intriguing enough for you to commit? Because that's a kind of a big commitment to something to do.
Definitely. Yeah, I mean, I was aware that by going with him, I was signing up for I might watch something die.
Right.
That's kind of a weird thing for someone who's not used to that to want to do, I guess. I think it's just because I was always outdoorsy in general, so I liked being outside.
Yeah.
So to me, it was like, oh, we get to go hang out outside together in a tree stand by ourselves. Because we met when I was 16, so that's a really fun, I don't know, thing to do when you're 16. I guess.
That's a long time to be together too. 16, you started dating, and right up until marriage.
Yeah, that's 28 now. Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Not a lot of people have it that way. The other question that came up, or the thought that popped in my head when you were saying that, the weirdness it is to eat a new animal for the first time, especially one that you've seen die. So you said that it was weird at first. Well, how did you get used to that? How did you get over that? Because I had it a little bit eating bear.
Yeah, I did too.
I had it when I first started eating squirrels. I don't know why, more than a turkey that I'd shoot or a rabbit. Squirrel was it was just harder to eat, How'd you get over it?
That's a great question, and my answer is so lame, but just keep trying.
Yeah, that's pretty honest. No, that's kind of what it was for me.
No, I think it's very psychological. You're thinking about it, like you were saying in that experience, you're actually watching someone gut an animal for the first time, and you're seeing parts of an animal that you've never seen before. Maybe in biology class where you're gutting frogs or something, but I don't know if for me sometimes when I was hunting my entire life, I'd go with my dad, but he wouldn't usually kill deer a lot. so for me to bring home a deer, it was awesome, but it's now what do I do with it? Because he doesn't really know, because he hardly ever shot deer. I think for me it was just experiencing that whole time of processing the animal. It's just kind of it just kind of sticks in your head, and then you're it almost doesn't really have a different consistency, but in the back of your head, it's like
it's just different.
Just kind of different at first.
I will say this though. So you've been with your husband for what? Almost 10, 20. When did you start dating?
16.
16. Sorry.
Yeah. Math. Math was never his strong side.
Jared and I have been together longer than that. Have we not? And so, but I'm going somewhere with this. So when we first started hunting together, when we were very young, 12, 13, were we 12, 13, something like that?
We had to have been able to drive.
No. We would go out with my dad to the cottage. We'd drive with him.
Okay, that's fair. That's
you know,
right. Yep,
in our old Army camo and your Oneida bow. Anyways, but when we would shoot deer, we didn't have YouTube, and we didn't have, like, for the most part, money, especially in college, to, like, go get it processed. So the first couple times we started doing our own deer, do you remember that?
Oh,
yeah. Cutting up our own deer. It was like, I don't know what I'm cutting. None of this makes any sense.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know, like, if you touch hair, like, does it go bad? How does it go bad? I didn't know any of it.
I mean, it helped that I had a little bit of culinary arts background. So I went to culinary arts school for a couple semesters. Yeah. And during one of the classes, they had a meat processing section where the chef brought in an entire goat, and then he broke it down into the different cuts. And he said, if you can do this, you can do this to any animal, because the anatomy is mostly the same. So going into it, we had a little bit of a background. I'm like, oh, okay, there's the back straps. This is the roast back here. You know, this is what we can do with this. But it just took time to.
It was a hack job.
It was a hack. Yeah.
But what we would do is, we've talked about this in the podcast. When we were in college, we'd be like, you're not allowed to be up at the cottage in the winter when I was growing up. Like, kids weren't allowed to be there, but we'd sneak up. We'd bring some booze, and we'd invite people and feed them. We'd go early, shoot a deer, and then, like, you know, show our
come
worth.
back to camp.
Be like, hey, you know, we got a deer hanging. Like, we're men, you know.
Not really, but yeah.
And so it was just, it's funny to think about that, how that changes. Okay, question for you. So you see him shoot a deer, you start eating it. It's weird, but you say, you know, the process of eating it over and over again helps. Was it different then when you went and shot your first deer? Like, how was that experience different?
Not at all from the eating standpoint, because at that point I was so accustomed to it that eating deer was no longer a weird thing at all. It really just, like, the idea of wild game in general, like, I was fully on board with that and enjoying that.
Yep.
But the breakdown process it's interesting to hear your take on that, because like I mentioned, I had full plans of going into the medical field.
Right.
So I loved anatomy and physiology. I actually worked as an EMT and a paramedic, and then a paramedic.
Yeah.
You're not the same thing.
You're not both.
They're very different. A paramedic has more training than an EMT. Anyways, I worked as a paramedic in college, and so I have a background in that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I really enjoyed the breakdown process in learning that whole thing. I mean, calling gutting a deer enjoyable is, like, not quite the right way to describe it. But
Agreed.
It is something, especially for me at least, in the butchering process that is so cool. And over the past few years, I've been learning more and more and more about what I can do with this meat and how I can treat it best, and what I can do with different cuts of meat, etc. So that has really sort of flourished to me. And the thought of having someone else cut up my deer is
it's just weird.
Yeah, no.
It feels kind of weird to think about that. You know,
I understand that some people don't have the space or the means to be able to do that
or time.
Yeah, totally. But if you do, that's everything to me.
Yeah.
You could say, like, you're never allowed to shoot an animal again, and I'd be like, fine, I don't care, as long as I can go out for the hunt.
Yeah.
You don't have to do the shooting, but let me do the butchering.
Yeah.
Because that's, like, those are the things that I love about it so much.
I would agree. I've butchered more animals this year than ever, because we've got a couple of guys who do a bunch of goose hunting, and they must be full on goose or something. They're like, we have a ton of geese. If, like, you want them, will you want them? I'm like, yeah. So, like, I think I've done 60, 70 geese like over the course of the year,
Jeez,
just
dude.
chopping them, going through. But what's been cool about it is like the first one I did was terrible, like getting the breast off, try to get the legs off and everything else. But now I'm like a smooth, like a machine.
Just getting after it.
Yeah, it feels
Good for
good.
you,
It's
man.
it's cool to learn, and it was different, and it was just cool. Like you said, I really like to go in the garage when it's a little cold, put a little, grab a beer, and put a little show on, or maybe a football game, and
Yep.
just kind of go to work and relax, and it's a good time. So, Allie, you got started in hunting, and now it's kind of your career. But how'd you go from new hunter to person who is like a personality, like people know, Outdoor Allie?
Yeah. So I started my Instagram page. That's really where it all started in 2015. And the whole idea was just to connect with people, mostly in the archery world. I was gearing up for my first bow hunt, but I was excited that I just bought my first compound bow.
Yeah.
So I was sharing that journey into my first season with a compound bow. And it just naturally built from there. I've always shared my experiences very openly and candidly. And I think people just connected with that. So shortly after, sometime in 2016, I started a YouTube channel, and things have just grown sort of organically from that. But I did work for First Light.
Yep.
I moved from Pennsylvania to Idaho to work for First Light. I worked for them for a little over 2 years, almost 2.5 years, I believe. And it was an awesome experience. I feel like it was really important for me to have that experience when I did. They are so focused on conservation and public lands, and they really do things in like they're stewards of the land is really the best way to put it. So I sort of grew up as a hunter in that environment. So I definitely owe them a lot to shaping myself as a hunter. And how
That's a good company to be a new hunter at. Like I like those guys. Like even thinking about Tag, Spence, like he was kind of a new hunter, and like watching him.
Yeah, they just
become. Or had him on a couple.
Took him under their wing and just kind of
they're
coached
good
him
people.
up, and
that's
it was
cool.
real cool.
So archery. So what made you? First of all, what made you decide? I need to. Not only is Instagram like my thing, but I need to become a YouTube like star. Like what? Why did you decide I need to make YouTube videos? What was that?
Yeah, I don't like thinking of it like my reaction when you said it like that was like, oh, like that's. I don't like to think of it like that. It's more I want to connect with people, and I want to share my story, and I want to. It's really an outlet. To share my experiences. I don't really know how to put it. The other interesting thing, I mean, I think about this kind of stuff a lot. Like, why am I doing what I'm doing? What's the point? What's the message? And for me, especially when I started, I didn't know many other female hunters, especially, but even just hunters in general. All I had was Nick, and he, of course, had a couple buddies that hunted, but that, my circle is very, very small. So by using social media, it was like what I was exposed to was, infinite. And I've always just been a fan of YouTube. I always have loved watching YouTuber. Like I'm a consumer of YouTube. And so it just felt right to also share what I was doing.
Yeah,
I can appreciate that. Yeah, I can appreciate it because, and I asked it a little facetiously because if anybody that follows you knows, like it's definitely seems like an outlet, but also a way that you engage people, and you do a really good job at it. That's why so many people tune in, and you're legit. Was it weird to do that at first? Was it kind of weird to record like that, or was that pretty natural for you?
It's pretty. Well, maybe a little bit weird, but it is pretty natural. I've always been very theatrical, I guess you could say. I was in chorus in like grade school and middle school and high school. So I would be on stage singing. Not that I can sing well, but
But you like.
I was gonna say, were you gonna give us a little sample?
I was gonna say you can.
No.
Welcome to Hot Bowga.
We could do that.
Yeah, I could put a new jingle on your intro.
I think you really can only sing well if you put one finger in your ear and close your eyes a little bit. Anyways.
So so I've always been like that kind of person. So being in front of a camera wasn't, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just an extension, you know.
No, I've liked that. I had a question about that too.
Was it weird for you guys? I mean, is this weird right now for you guys?
This is. I don't like people seeing me. No, it's not. You know what? It really wasn't. For us, it was the same thing.
Yeah.
I feel like this is also a pretty good outlet. Like it's an outlet for getting your hunting fix. You know, we think about why we do, what we're doing, how we're doing it. We talk to a lot of people, and we talk about this a lot. And like selfishly, I just like it because I get to learn from a lot of like way better hunters than us, which is it's sweet. Like, you know, have some guy you never have access to normally on a podcast and ask him whatever you want. It's pretty. It's a lot of fun.
It is, yeah. Our first couple of episodes kind of sucked just because you've got the headset on, you're talking into a mic, and it's like, okay, we're recording, so like this is going out to
and you're
people,
nervous, but it's like yeah.
But with time, just like everything else, it just gets better.
Now we just lean back, you know, enjoy our Mountain Ops Cabernet. It's the new blend.
Is that what you're rocking in there?
Yeah.
I was gonna mix up a drink before this, but I didn't.
You know, I like to put my wine in water bottles, Argali water bottles. Going back to it, you started working at First Light. You worked there for a couple of years. You mentioned not knowing a lot of women in hunting.
Yeah.
And anybody who listens to our show knows we've had a handful of women on, but just not as many. There are less women public figures, and I think less hunters in general for women. Jared and I both have daughters, so something I think about a lot, right? I think about getting her in. I take her hunting. I've been taking her since she was 2, just to get her out. And she seems to like it. But, like, as a woman in the hunting industry, what's that experience been like? It's got to be different than what we've experienced.
Yeah.
Yeah, at first, maybe it's just because I was so young and so naive. I never felt any different. I always felt like I could do whatever I wanted to do. It never occurred to me that I never thought of myself like, oh, I'm a woman hunter. It was always just, I'm a hunter. I don't know. It never fazed me. But because I'm engaged online and I hear stories from so many other people and like I understand that it can be very challenging if you don't have a group of people that you can connect with that can relate to the same things as you can. And so for me, thankfully, like I enjoy solo hunting a lot.
Yep.
So I like having a group of people outside of just myself, which I do have, but it's been easier, I think, because I enjoy pursuing the outdoors solo as well as with my husband.
Yeah.
And now, like my best friend, actually back in 2015 when I bought a compound bow, her name's Marta, she had bought a compound bow as well.
Nice.
So we would like shoot in the backyard together, and she would always tag along on hunts but was never really fully invested in hunting. And just this season she killed her first deer.
Nice. Awesome. That's
with
cool.
a rifle. It was so great. So my circle is expanding, and I'm a co-founder of a group called Artemis Sportswomen, which is an initiative by the National Wildlife Federation. It's basically a group of sportswomen who love the outdoors, whether it's hunting or fishing, who also care about conservation. And so it's this really wonderful community of women. But yeah, and then I also have all of like Nick and my friends, Nick guy friends, that we all go out together as well. So yeah, I don't know. I think I answered that question in a lot of weird ways. But,
it's interesting.
It is interesting though, because another thing that I'll say, I've always had more of a like guy's humor. Like I've always got along well in groups of guys. And
so have I.
Arguably.
I think that some women just like don't like that kind of thing, and so it would make sense. Why would you want to go hang out with a bunch of like stinky dudes in the woods? Because that's like, if that's not your thing, that's not your thing. You know? So I think that's part of it too. it depends on the person.
Yeah.
You know? I think people find their groove into what really vibes with them, for
Sure.
lack of a better way to describe it. And this just vibed with me, so I never really thought twice.
And now you've hunted and traveled and been like a pretty big part of the hunting community for a while. Well, actually, I want to go back. We talked about getting into compound bows. So you got your compound bow, you say 2015?
Yeah.
Okay. How is that? How is like the process? Because we're, our podcast, we talk mostly about bow hunting. How's that going? Like, how has that gone so far?
I mean, archery was the perfect stepping stone, or not even stepping stone, that's the wrong way to put it, but it was the perfect into hunting, because I also, like, I didn't grow up around hunting. I didn't grow up around guns. So I wasn't comfortable around firearms. I didn't know anything about firearms. So not only, like, I could just imagine if archery was not an option and I was interested in going hunting with Nick, learning firearms just would have been an extra step to be comfortable around. So archery was a much easier sort of like path into it. And then once I got into it, I hunt with rifles, shotguns, muzzle loaders, everything. So archery was really just like the sweet spot for me to get into it. And it's awesome. I'm not by no means a professional archer or a great archer or anything.
Neither are we. I'm more than you, I think.
I love tinkering with it. I bought my own press.
I saw that. That was very nicely done. That's not a lot of people do that.
Mm-hmm.
I've done 2 bow builds so far, and nothing has blown up. Like, everything's going great.
Nice.
I want to build out, like, my friends' bows, Nick's bows. I just want to keep working on it.
Yeah.
And it's fun. It's another, like, hang out in the garage and, like, I don't know.
Mess around.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I get that.
Exactly.
I get it.
And recurve is next. Like, there's trad.
So, yes. But I'm fully respectful of the fact that I will have to be so disciplined if I want to hunt with that.
Yep.
So,
You hear that?
So I
Yes.
love like playing with recurves and trad bows in the backyard. But the thought of hunting with one is like, I feel like I need to press on the brakes a little bit, because I've like too many hobbies.
Yeah.
If and when I decide to do that, it will need to be a very focused.
It is.
It is.
So recent, that part of the podcast we started. Actually, did I have a compound when we started the podcast? I don't know.
I don't remember. No.
Either way, the very beginning,
Yes.
near the beginning of us starting this, I switched to purely traditional. Sold all my stuff, and I just got the old stick and string. So I asked that a lot. So it's been a couple years. It's going okay. Shot a bear.
Yeah, you did. And
Shot some deer.
I went down that road with him.
He did.
So we were both traditional. And then, like you were saying, it's a time.
You have to shoot every day.
It's a time commitment.
At least I do. Some people maybe don't have to, but
And
for the most part I do.
Yeah, and at the time I had 2 kids, and I was working side jobs at night, and it's like I don't have any time to shoot my bow. Like,
Yeah.
And I feel like I'd said it before. I feel like I owe it to the animal to be as accurate as I possibly can.
Yep.
And right now, it's just not in the cards for me to do this right now. As much as I'd love just the purity
fun.
of traditional
fun.
archery,
Yep.
I had to switch back. So I get mocked. I get mocked quite often
I'm not
for
even
doing
mocking
that.
you. I haven't said anything.
About putting the training wheels back on, but I don't know.
No.
It is what it is.
No.
Yeah.
I feel that. Yeah, it really is. I mean, I'm speaking as if I've done it, but I know that it's a very serious commitment. Time wise, everything.
Yep.
My thing was, I shoot like I don't know if I like it more than hunting, but I like it close, just shooting my bow. And so like I was shooting every day anyways, and I was like, man, it'd be nice to just go out there, something a lot more simple. And I just started, and like now I don't even really think about it. Like we talk about it a lot, but it's not really like I don't know, like a thing. Like when I first started hunting with one, I always thought about I am out here with a recurve. Now it's just like, I'm hunting, grab whatever your weapon is, which is a change. So my next question was going to be, and I don't remember what it was going to be about.
Because I don't have one right now.
No, it's fine. So you worked at First Light for a while. You decided to venture out on your own. Like, for people that follow you, like, what does a day in the life of Allie look like? Like, what is this type of job entail? What does your life look like?
It's the best part is that, well, there's two best parts. It's different every single day. So what I do on the daily changes. And Nick and I work together. So we are able to be together all of the time working on whatever it is we're working on. But a day in the life, I could break it down probably better for like a week.
Sure.
And this changes based on the time
of course.
year. During hunting season, it's a lot crazier than now. Even though there are still hunting opportunities, it's definitely like a deep breath.
Yeah.
Relief after 4 months of craziness. But it's a mix of content creation, which is it's weird to say it like that because I've always been very cautious of making this feel like too much of a job. Like
sure.
I'm doing these things because they're fun and because I'm excited about it.
Yeah.
So we'll plan fun things to do. Like right now I'm in Florida actually.
Oh.
So I'm planning on pompano fishing.
Oh yes,
that sounds so good.
I've never caught a pompano, so it might take me a while to figure it out. But so I've been researching pompano fishing. That's what I love so much about YouTube, and actually a little bit more about where I'm more focused now in what I'm putting out is just helping other people figure out how to do things and get into this, and also simultaneously sharing my process into it, that you're not going to catch something every time or kill something every hunt, and you're going to mess up and then you'll have some success and whatever. But anyway, so YouTube is such a great learning vessel for learning. So I have been researching what sort of like what the content will be about.
Sure.
Making notes on that, getting prepared for that, and then we get to go have fun and we get to film and fish, and however long that takes, whether that's a day, 2 days, 3 days, and then intermixed into that is editing.
Right.
So I do all the editing. Well, Nick and I work together a bit, but honestly, I'm quite controlling over the end product because ultimately it is my voice and it is my story. So I hold those reins pretty tight because like that's what means the most to me, is that it's authentically what I want to say. So editing, photo editing, we work with a lot of different amazing sponsors. So it's like phone calls with sponsors, Zoom calls, things like this, emails. And so, but I'm very aware of balancing things so that it like we spend time capturing these things, but also I can spend time without a camera on, so that it's always, I don't know. I don't want to get burnt out, essentially.
Sure. No, that's a good way to think about it. Yeah. That's interesting, and it's something I think that you do really well is when you don't come in and act like you're like this expert the first day that you've ever fished for pompano or whatever, and like you learning along the way, it makes it more accessible, I think, than people who kind of make you feel like you should know something before you actually do it, and then that's kind of a barrier to starting anything.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. So as you're preparing for pompano fishing, for example, you said you're a YouTube person. Are you watching videos or are you reading? What's your way of learning?
All of the above. It's reading. So Google is an amazing tool.
Yes,
for
it
learning.
is.
Yep.
It really is. So articles, blog articles, YouTube videos. YouTube videos are helpful because and I can speak to this from being someone who didn't start hunting until later in life. I never really got to watch someone to learn.
Yeah.
Like even Nick, he was learning at the same time that I was learning.
Yeah.
So we didn't have a mentor per se to watch.
Right.
But we have mentors on YouTube.
Yeah, sure.
So like this week that I'm preparing for pompano fishing, I'm able to watch people who are experts or even the people who aren't. And then I can see where the new person messed up, where the other person knew what they were doing, or,
Right.
and I learn from them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's so special. If it wasn't for, folks creating that kind of content for YouTube, I'd be at the bait shop asking
right.
there what to do.
And they're not always the most friendly guys.
Go down that way
Like,
with a can of worms.
The bait, they usually are lying. They don't
Oh,
tell you
yeah.
where to go, the right places to go. I've tried it.
I don't blame them, but
I don't blame them either.
Definitely isn't helpful.
Yeah. No, I like that. And Google is great. Although I got off Google for a while.
Yeah, you did.
I watched Social Dilemma, and I was convinced that Google is ruining the world. So I'm like, I'm switching to DuckDuckGo, and it's just not good.
Not
like
the
after a
same
while,
thing.
I'm like, you know what? Screw it. I don't care. You can track me. It's way easier this way.
They've been tracking you for
Well, and-
20 years already.
Right.
Yeah.
It's mostly disappointing. Like, this guy's kind of a loser. Like, just looks up hunting articles, and it's really like nothing exciting. So go ahead. So anyways, I got off the Google. I'm on the Google again.
All right.
Well, it's making you smarter too. So
That's right.
you're using it as a tool.
We have access to so much information
Yeah.
that you can just search for and learn about, and that's the fun thing about it. It's just like if I don't know how to do something, I'm looking at a video.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm just teaching.
Are you more video than written?
I like to. I'm a visual learner.
Does that mean you can't read good?
No. No. When I read my kids' books, it's like my wife goes, "That's the wrong word. That's not what." Just go with it. Just go with it.
Just they're fine.
What did I say today?
They don't know.
Something about it was a construction book. I was reading my son tonight, and it's something about the rocks, and I said something different. I just went with it, man.
You just changed the whole story.
Just
It's
run with
something
the story.
he doesn't know. He can't read.
You don't know. He's just drinking milk and chilling.
We'd have that. We'd read the same book over and over and over and over again. So finally, I'm like, this book is going to end differently this time because I can't read. I can't read the same book again. I can't do it.
Now, when you're preparing for this pompano fishing, are you also looking for like recipes you're going to do for it? Like, what?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
Wait, you're looking at recipes before you.
That's
catch
not
the
bad
fish?
luck. That's not bad luck.
Yeah.
That is. That's bad luck. I've done it. It's bad.
No, I mean it's that the whole point is that it's a catch, clean, and cook. So I have to know how to catch them. I have to know how to clean them, and then I have to be able to cook them.
It's a process.
And totally.
Yeah.
So I've been searching it all, but the cooking part, especially for fish. I mean, this is kind of true for wild game meat. All red meat, wild game meat, essentially, like you can do the same.
Interchangeable. Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. They might have some different flavors, but ultimately, a backstrap is a backstrap.
Sure.
Yeah.
Prepare it the same way. Same is kind of true for white flaky saltwater fish.
Yeah.
They're all delicious and they all can be used interchangeably.
See, the first time I heard about a pompano, we were actually down on spring break senior year, and that's when Zach and I went out to a fishing pier.
Yeah.
And we're like, screw it, we're just gonna go out there and maybe we'll catch something. And
one of my great regrets in life
yeah, that was a bad
is
time
that
to
I
miss.
slept in.
Yeah, you did.
We shouldn't have been able to have our own. Anyways, you went out fishing. I decided to
Yep.
sleep in.
And we're just sitting there, and guys started catching fish, and then we saw a guy catch another one, cast back out, caught another one, and there was a school of Spanish mackerel that had came by.
Coming in. Yeah.
And then we're just like, well, what the heck? We want to start catching them. So this guy's like, here, use this. And it was a chrome tube with like a chartreuse lead head on it with a couple treble hooks. And he said, cast it out there and just jig it up and down real quick. And you can just see the fish just darting at this thing. So we caught our limit in like 10 minutes.
I know.
And we're coming back to the hotel with this cooler full of fish that we don't know what to do with. And there was he was from Britain, Great Britain. And he was here on vacation. And he's like, hi, Mike.
This is Panama City.
Yeah,
by the
Panama
way.
City, Florida. He's like, hey, mate, come here. This is what you do. And he's like, you ever have a pompano? This is what you should do with a pompano. And he's telling me that if you like cross-cut it, like cross-hatch, and then you put it on a grill and put some garlic butter on it. He said the meat will like puff up off the fish, and then you can just like fork off those little cross
like
sections.
kind of like mushroom out.
Yeah, it'll just kind of like rise up.
Yeah.
So I've always wanted to do that. So I'm very interested to see and hear.
We'll be
what
following.
You do. Yeah, we'll be following along to see what you do.
But that Spanish
Fingers
mackerel,
crossed. We'll see.
you'll get one. I mean, you have what you said 2-3 days.
That's a Bowga
I'm
guarantee.
not gonna stop until I do. Whether it's this week or next week, like I'm going to get one eventually.
Good, because I'm expecting some good content out of it. I want to see, because now I want to see, now that I know a little bit about the background, I get to see how it plays out. Should be a lot of fun. It'd be like day 15. I'm still out here.
Just
like
like
fish yet.
Scabby under the eyes. We're out here.
Ugh, still going after it. No, the Spanish mackerel that you made, we beer batter breaded it.
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty.
But it was
Pretty typical.
for high school seniors. That's awesome.
On spring break, we had a
Yeah.
fish
We were
fry.
king. All of our friends were coming from, staying in other places. They all came. We had a big fish fry. That was really fun. That was special that you did
It
that.
was a good time. Yeah.
That's way more impressive than the meals we cooked on my spring.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was expecting to wake up to figure out where the local McDonald's was.
Kegs and eggs, baby.
Yeah.
Kegs and eggs. That's right. Very different.
No, that was a good time, but yeah.
No, that was cool. So, you're a visual learner.
Yeah,
You're mostly
100%. I
YouTube.
got to see someone do it, and then I should be good to go.
Yeah, I think I'm with you. I can read about, but I feel like things like hunting, it's easier to watch somebody than to read about it, because it's like I can get, some theory or something you learn about in college or whatever. It's like, okay, that's kind of an abstract thought, but like to read about how to weld, for example, you can't really learn how to weld well without actually seeing it done or doing it yourself.
Getting hands on.
So YouTube is pretty awesome for that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, pretty awesome for that.
Definitely.
So you had a good year. You had a good year. Like you've been hunting. We've kind of followed you traveling around. You're in Florida now. What does your 2021 look like? Hopefully there are less restrictions and you can do a lot more fun stuff.
Yeah, it always ends up breaking down to some sort of Western hunt and some sort of whitetail hunt. Although at this point we've been really consistent with whitetail hunting in Pennsylvania.
Yep.
And I don't really want it any other way because we have all of our friends and family there.
Yep.
So it's like every weekend is a gathering of all of our friends. So like my brother-in-law shot his first buck this past season.
Sweet.
Like I said earlier, Marta shot her first deer. So we always have friends there, and it's so much fun. And that, like, the atmosphere of deer camp
It's the
so
best.
incredible. I love it so much. But I love the mountains. And when we lived in Idaho, that was just like, experiencing public land on that scale has, I feel like, just
It's different.
entered my soul, and it's never going to leave. I'm
Yep.
never not going to do that. Even though I absolutely suck at elk hunting, and I've been really resistant, like dragging my feet to, like, I should probably, hunt with people that know what they're doing and learn that way. But I've just been so resistant and so stubborn. I just want to figure it out myself.
Yep.
And I always get close. I get so close, but they're always just out of range. Always. And I haven't been able to figure it out yet, but I will eventually. But that's like the fun in it for me, is just like grinding it out and
Yes.
figuring it out.
Yep.
That's what we like. We talk about that a lot. It's like just sometimes you can go to places where it's more just shooting. Like you're told where you sit, you go, and there's a lot of great things to that. You talk about the deer camp atmosphere. It's like one of the best things in life.
Yeah.
But to figure it out and to master it, or at least hang in there and
It's
not
almost-
give up by the end, it's just so fun.
And it gives you it's more of a fulfilling experience. Like, I put in X amount of years in all this time and research and
All
boots
the
on the
time
ground. and-
online, like we research a lot before we go places. Lots of digital, because it's like, what else do you do? You're thinking about this hunt.
Yep.
Might as well put that thought to like use, and
Yep.
no, even like even like even when you get one, if I don't, like last year when we went to Wisconsin, you got one. I feel like I just felt really good about that. We spent a lot of time finding the spot, finding the area. You know, I was looking at neighboring properties' trail cams.
Yeah.
You know, and
the
just
property that was for sale.
For sale, just whatever I could do. Yeah, I that was I got a little too deep into that, but it worked out pretty well.
Yeah, it's part of the experience.
Yeah.
And with with the internet and with the ability to access so many different things, it's a new element to it.
Yeah.
Which is interesting though, to think about the folks that were hunting before the internet.
Yeah.
And how they must feel about it now. At least I can say from watching like my parents or even my grandparents navigate the internet, they don't use it the same way that I do.
Right.
Like when I need to know something, I know how to find it. I can pretty much solve any problem that I'm faced with because I have the internet. But I can see, like folks of an older generation not quite understanding that it's a tool that they can use too,
right,
to figure things out. But yeah, it definitely it changes the game for sure.
Oh, it's huge.
Do you know how many calls I get about, hey, my remote's not working?
From who?
Anybody.
Oh, I would call you for that.
It's like, hey, Rod, my remote's not working for the TV. Can you help me out?
What do I do?
You know what I do?
What's the move?
I hop on Google and say, problem with a remote.
Well, no, listen to this. When I was in high school, my grandma paid me $100 to stay with her for a week to teach her how to use the internet when I was in high school. This was
wow, smart lady.
Right? What was I like? This is like 15 years ago. This is a while ago, and it was like the work. I mean, it was great. It was like quality time with my grandma, but
right,
like
you gotta
the
hold the
teaching part
mouse.
was
I'm
the
not holding
worst.
the mouse.
Like point the mouse here, and she's like, "What do you mean?" Like touching the screen and stuff. So. Yeah, that's people just it's funny how quickly generations have changed in their use of things like technology, things like the internet. Where if I want to know anything, like we've been saying, there's a forum about it that will talk about all the 10 different ways that you can go about do something, and they argue about
with 10 different opinions.
Like go to Rockslide and they're all arguing about this, or Archery Talk they're arguing about this, but at least you get some kind of good information about it. Where, like you said before, it's like you have to go to a shop, and when I learned archery, that's how I learned. I went to a shop, and the guy that taught me, looking back, had no idea. Like, not really actually a good shop. They're no longer in business. Yeah. But it was like he had no I had no training about how to shoot a bow, how to he just was like, this bow seems about right. Didn't tune it or anything like that. And so it's different now. It's a lot. You can get better at things faster.
Mm-hmm.
We can all learn from some of the best in, whatever industry or whatever outlet you're looking to learn in. So like archery, for example, I learn a lot from John Dudley.
I was just going to say that.
A lot of amazing content online. And now there are the archery scene on YouTube has really grown. There are so many people who are so overqualified compared to what you would find at your local shop. And not saying that local shops can't be great, because they really can, but we now all have access to some of the best of the best, and
it's free. That's what's crazy.
And
it's free. It's great.
Yeah.
Well, it's free, very available. And well, actually I have a question for you. Have you dealt with target panic? I'll get to why in a minute.
Yeah.
You have.
Yeah, sure.
What?
Oh, yeah.
Tell Jared how to figure out. He's got target. He hasn't even admitted it on the podcast yet.
Nope.
He's given me so much guff about having gone through it in the past. He's like, man, I feel like there was a time where you doubted that it even was a thing. You doubted. You thought I was just
let me
turned
defend
bad?
myself a second. If you're gonna throw me, into the fire.
I'm going to throw you under the bus.
So this past season, I switched from a thumb release back to an index because I wanted to have something on my wrist. I didn't have to worry about it hiking in, hiking out. So I did. I pulled the trigger on it, and I got one, and I was shooting fine. But then all of a sudden, I had one stray shot, and I'm like, oh my gosh. And then ever since then, I'm just a little bit just jumpy with it. And I keep telling myself, just breathe, hold the pin on the target, just slow, steady squeeze.
You're screwed. You're screwed, man.
I'm not. I'll kick it.
You what's okay? We're talking about all these ways, and this whole time this has been in my back of my mind to bring up tonight. So I'm glad
You dick.
that this is coming up. We're talking about ways that you learn in YouTube or whatever. Like how are you fixing this? Because I'm not. You're not gonna shame me. Like, I'm not hunting with you if you're just going to go out there, like, shooting over targets and stuff. That's embarrassing for me. Like, what does that mean? Who does that make me look
I
like?
just won't go with you.
Like, what are you going to do to fix it? Because I can't put up with this.
Allie, do you have a video out on target? Okay. I'll probably come to you then.
You do?
You can watch it. I actually do, yeah. I made it somewhat recently, too, because I've made a lot of progress within the past year with a lot of things when it comes to archery. My form, target panic, a lot of things. And I learned through YouTube and then putting it into practice and figuring out what actually works best for me. But yeah, and then I made a video on it and I shared.
See?
Perfect.
I never got over it. I had it really more with compound bow, not so much with a recurve, and I'll say why in a minute.
Yeah.
But like compound, I would go in waves. Like I would get better, and then I would have like a spike. It was like I was like managing an illness. Like I'd get like a spike, a flare up.
You'd relapse.
I'd relapse, and but with the recurve, the thing that's helped me is they have a clicker that just clicks, and so for whatever reason that just resets me. I just hear the click and I shoot, and I don't have to think about it.
So
the less I think, the better I shoot.
A shot sequence helped you.
Yeah, but like more subconscious. Like I don't, and again, we'll have to have like Joel turn around to explain what's happening in my mind for why that's happening. But for whatever reason, click, shoot, and it's fine. Without it, though, all of a sudden I'm like, I do it again. So maybe I wonder
not
if it's
screwed,
a thing that
man.
sticks with you for life.
I hope not.
You're screwed. You hate to see it.
You do hate to see
to
it.
see it.
Just hang up the bow now.
Yep. He's you take up knitting or something like that.
I'm not good at it. I don't like needles.
You got big. You're all thumbs. That's your problem.
I know.
You got big meaty hands.
It's Shrek hands.
They're
man.
not for that tiny work. So Allie, we're coming up on time. We've talked a little bit about your background, but like for people who want to watch these videos, maybe somebody who's struggling with target panic, where could Jared find your videos? Follow you on this Pompano fish trip, like, and everything else.
Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, it's all Outdoors Allie. Funny story, especially for Instagram. I don't know if this happened anywhere else, but on Instagram, my handle used to be Outdoors Allie, just one word. And people thought my name was Sally. People thought it was Sally. So I would post like a fish that I caught.
Sally.
Like, great job, Sally.
That's pretty funny.
I had to put the underscore in it. So Outdoors_Allie on Instagram.
But you know what?
That
people thought we were from Georgia.
They thought like Bo GA.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
It's not.
I am guilty of thinking that when I first saw that. You guys are from Michigan.
Worst branders ever.
Should we just be Bo My?
We need to do like a PSA like on what we are. It happens a lot, and actually, yeah, it happens too much. But what do we do now? We're locked in.
It's fine.
It's fine. They'll deal with it. They'll figure it out.
Deal with it.
Actually, speaking of which, I did yoga today. We've been talking about this. I'm on a streak, like 8 days in a row.
How you feeling?
I had one time I did it this week where I enjoyed it. One time of the 8, and the other time it was just like, this sucks. It's uncomfortable. It's work, and I'm bad at it. And I'm not flexible. It's not getting like I want it to be. I thought I'd touch my toes by now. I'm not even close.
Oh, dude, I can put my hands on the floor.
I know you stretch a lot. So, anyways, I'm gonna bring up the yoga side of this Bowga journey. We're in Michigan. We're not from Georgia. People can find Outdoor Allie, Outdoor_Allie, not Outdoor Sally.
I'm going to call you Sally from now on.
That is,
You're stuck
that's
with
pretty
it.
funny, though. It's funny how that works.
People will, like, pop up in the comments still and be like, I've been around since you were Sally.
That's nice. Cool. Well, Allie, thank you for taking the time. Appreciate you sharing your time, sharing your story, talking with us a little bit.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys. This is fun.
Yeah, sounds good. We'll see you soon.
Bye, guys.
All right. We did it.
You just cut her off?
I didn't do anything.
Oh.